This program lineup is brought to you by Vision Express.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
Tokyo 21, presented locally by IT&E. KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson and the Adahi Tano Program. Cars Plus, home of Guam's first and only lifetime limited powertrain warranty. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurants, always open, always local, and serving up favorites for over 40 years.
Tonight on Prime Time, we'll give you a recap of all of the results from the 2020 general election. Plus, an officer-involved shooting leaves a man dead and a woman in the hospital. Peter Santos has that story. And it is Super Tuesday stateside, so who will be the next president of the United States?
Good and good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with presidential election news. The polls are closed and the first candidate to reach 270 electoral votes wins. But with mail-in voting reaching unprecedented numbers in 2020, it's not clear when it will be known whether President Trump gets a second term or Joe Biden becomes the next president. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
As President Trump monitors election results from the White House, CBS News projects he has won the state of Indiana and its 11 electoral votes. CBS News also projects victory for the president in states where he was expected to do well, including Oklahoma, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Earlier, the president talked about his chances of winning as he visited campaign headquarters in Virginia.
I think we're going to have a great night. But it's politics and it's elections, and you never know. Winning is easy. Losing is never easy. Not for me, it's not.
President Trump looked for big turnout from his supporters at the polls today.
I like the course we've been on. Keep our taxes low. I don't believe in socialism or communism.
Early exit polling revealed supporters of President Trump are more concerned about the economy, even over COVID.
The president is hosting invited guests at the White House for his election night party. Among those here tonight are cabinet officials. I'm Natalie Brandt in Washington.
I'm Michael George at the Biden campaign headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware. Senior Biden officials say they're confident he's going to win, even if it takes a while. CBS News projects Joe Biden has won a number of states, including New York, Massachusetts, and his home state of Delaware.
We're going to rebuild the middle class.
Yeah! The Democratic presidential nominee capped his election day in Delaware.
I'm superstitious about predicting what an outcome is going to be, but I'm hopeful.
A CBS News exit poll finds a majority of voters think the U.S. efforts to control the coronavirus are going badly, which may help Biden.
There's no justification for all the negligence that has gone on for the last 4 years.
Biden is hoping to capture a large share of first-time voters.
I voted for Joe Biden because I felt that his policies best aligned with my views.
Michael George, CBS News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Turning now to local election results in the congressional delegate voting, incumbent Democrat Michael St. Nicholas finished at the top of the three-man race with 13,000 votes, followed by former Congressman and fellow Democrat Robert Underwood with 9,300, and then Republican Will Castro with 5,942. St. Nicholas says the top vote-getter did not receive the required 50+1 majority, so by law there must be a runoff between the top two. The Guam Election Commission has set that vote for Tuesday, November 17th. Meanwhile, Delegate St. Nicholas released a statement saying he'd like to, quote, extend a sincere olive branch to Congressman Underwood and appeal to his humanity to consider a gentleman's withdrawal from a runoff election. But in an interview on The Link, Underwood said he's hoping for a public forum between them in the next 2 weeks before the voting.
When you have a binary choice, you need the people do need to see the two candidates, not just necessarily square off, but, say what they have in mind and what they anticipate, how they see the issues, and how they see the work in Washington, D.C. going forward. Those are really important things, I think, to present to the public, and I eagerly look forward to any of those forums.
Underwood also said St. Nicholas's request for him to withdraw from the runoff, quote, ignores the will of 54% of voters who seek a new direction in leadership. In the legislative race, the final tally had the Democrats hanging on to their majority in the 636th legislature, but the Republicans were able to whittle down the 10-5 supermajority to a narrow 8-7 margin. Democrat Therese Terlahi was the top vote-getter with 18,778 votes, followed by Republican James Moylan with 17,045. Democrat Vice Speaker Talina Nelson came in third with 15,022. Incumbent Democrat Joe San Augustine finished fourth with 14,958 votes. Rounding out the top five was incumbent Republican Mary Torres with 14,713. Former Senator and Republican Party Chairman Tony Atta finished in sixth place with 13,683. He was followed by Legislative Secretary Democrat Amanda Shelton with 13,409. Minority Leader Tello Taitagui came in eighth with 13,310. Former Republican Senator Frank Bloss Jr. finished ninth at 13,063. And completing the top 10 was Democrat Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes with 11,700. Coming in number 11 was another incumbent Democrat, Clint Rigel, with 11,390 votes. Former Senator Republican Chris Duenas finished at number 12. Another former Republican, Senator Joanne Brown, came in lucky 13. She was followed by incumbent Democrat Sabina Perez, and edging into the 15th and final spot was Democratic incumbent Jose Pito Terlahi. The incoming legislature will face a very tough economic climate when it convenes in January. As we said, the Democrats will return with a razor-thin majority and several new but very experienced colleagues across the aisle. Top vote-getter Therese Terlahi says the political rivals will need to work together to get things done.
This is a little bit different dynamic, right? We're going into a legislature where, at least for me, I know these people. I've worked with them before. I was counsel to the legislature when most of them were senators. And so I have a good working relationship with each of them. And so I look forward to that. And that's, I think, all we really need is we need a good working relationship with everyone. And we need to be able to put the people of Guam first.
When asked, Terlahi declined to say whether she would seek the speakership. She says the Democrat majority will need to get together and decide. Voting was also held for village mayors. All the incumbents who stood for re-election were winners. Here's a recap. Elections were also held for the Guam Education Board and the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. The top six winners for the GEB are Dr. Mary Okada, Maria Gutierrez, Peter Alexis Atta, Mark Mendiola, Lourdes Benavente, and Robert Crisostomo. And for the CCU, Commission Chairman Joey Duenas and Dr. Judy Gutherz were re-elected. Also, Public Auditor B.J. Cruz ran unopposed and will retain his position with the OPA. In other news, what started as a follow-up investigation on a theft complaint ended in gunfire. Peter Santos reports on a fatal shooting involving police officers that left one person dead and the other wounded. Here's more.
During a virtual press conference this morning, Guam Police Department Chief Steve Ignacio confirmed that 4 of his officers have been placed on administrative leave after a fatal shooting occurred late Tuesday night. At about 10:30 p.m., officers arrived to an apartment building on Benito Street in Tamuning, where they noticed a parked blue sedan with 2 occupants in the vehicle. Officers later learned that vehicle had been stolen. Ignacio provided details of the events that led up to the shooting.
As the officers approached the vehicle, the operator accelerated forward, striking a marked patrol car and another vehicle within the parking lot. Officers then engaged by discharging their firearms, in which the male operator and the female passenger were wounded.
According to Chief Ignacio, the male operator of the vehicle was pronounced deceased by the attending physicians, and the female passenger was transported to the Guam Memorial Hospital by the Guam Fire Department for treatment. Ignacio also says that he's reached out to other agencies to assist GPD moving forward.
In the interest of transparency and maintaining the integrity of the investigation, I have reached out to the Office of the Attorney General, Guam Customs and Quarantine, and the Federal Bureau of Investigations to assist with both the criminal and administrative investigations.
Ignacio says he's already gotten the go-ahead from Guam Customs.
Director Ike Pareto from the Guam Customs and Quarantine has provided me 2 of his internal affairs investigators to assist with this investigation. And they would more than likely be taking the lead, working with our internal affairs section supervisor. So they will be taking the lead with this investigation.
According to Chief Ignacio, all officers involved in the incident have been placed on the maximum amount of 20 workdays administrative leave pending investigation. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Peter Santos.
Back with more news right after this.
It makes myself and it makes my team members very proud to work for an organization that has been on island for many years with its focus on reliability, dependability, and commitment to the communities that they operate in.
Matson's a great corporate citizen to the community.
We all benefit from any sort of environmental commitment we make. One of the ways that we do that is with our Adahi Utano program. There's action behind it, and so action breeds commitment.
With the Kaimana Gila coming to Guam, this brings a new age and modernization to the island.
It's exciting for me because it's a brand new ship and we can carry more freight into the islands. It just shows growth for Guam and Micronesia.
Matson would be nothing without its customers, and we hope to continue to serve you for decades to come.
Are you looking to save? Here at Cars Plus, it's Black Friday every day. You'll love our entire Hyundai SUV lineup, like the 2020 Hyundai Tucson, ranked Best Compact SUV by J.D. Power in 2020. Drive home in your new Tucson starting as low as $158 per paycheck, equipped with Guam's only lifetime powertrain warranty. That's right, there's only one place to shop for your SUV this November. It's here at Cars Plus. Call us at 477-7807 to schedule your appointment today. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
While we've all been through a lot over the years,
typhoons, earthquakes, and now COVID-19,
we've been able to get through these together.
For more than 80 years.
Calvo's Insurance has been protecting your homes, your businesses,
and the health of your family.
We are here today and we'll be here tomorrow.
There are better days ahead. Tomorrow's a new day filled with hope and choices.
The possibilities of what we can achieve together are limitless.
Let's continue to work together to ensure a brighter tomorrow for all of us.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
Welcome back. A 49-year-old man is the island's 81st COVID-19 related fatality. The Joint Information Center reports the patient died at approximately 11:18 this morning. He had underlying conditions that were further compounded by the virus. He was admitted to GMH on October 9th and was a known COVID case. Meanwhile, the port confirmed he was one of their employees, cargo checker Henry San Nicolas. Governor Lulian Guerrero and the Port Authority management and staff offer their condolences to the San Nicolas family. The port says he will be remembered for his smile, kindness, and dedication to his family. The COVID census at the GMH currently shows 82 COVID patients hospitalized, according to hospital administrator Lillian Posadas. 15 of those patients are currently under ICU level of care, with 7 patients on ventilator support. Of the total patients hospitalized, 12 are currently in recovery at the COVID isolation facility in Barragata Heights. And Public Health held the second and final hearing today on its draft enforcement rules and regulations for social distancing during the public health emergency. Church leaders and private citizens expressed various concerns over the directives. Here's a sampling of what they had to say.
If you're going to try and find people and people that are out of work and haven't, you really at least ought to have a clear set of what a violation is. And that's never been done. I mean, I don't know what I can do and what I can't do from day to day.
I am completely opposed to these penalties. Your community is already hurting. The governor's executive order or her memorandum or whatever it is, whatever they call it these days, it said, we understand if you want to take your kids trick-or-treating, but do it safely. But my God, the cemeteries were closed for All Souls Day? And we're okay with that?
Let's just be honest. I just don't see I just don't see the implication, and I don't see how you're going to enforce that long term. The idea that you could leverage a society and a group of people via their pocketbook in a community like Guam, which is already strapped for cash, seems a little misguided at the very least.
The draft rules would impose fines for violating the social distancing directives, $100 to $1,000 for individuals and $1,000 to $10,000 for businesses. The rules are posted on the Public Health website. A parishioner from Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church has tested positive for COVID. As a result, the Jigo Church will be closed November 4th and 5th for deep cleaning and will reopen Friday, November 6th for its usual morning mass and evening rosary. According to a press release from the Archdiocese of Hagåtña, the parishioner informed the parish on Tuesday evening. Though the person may not necessarily have been infected at the church, COVID-19 safety measures are being implemented because the person attended the 6 a.m. Mass last Sunday. The Archdiocese contact tracing team will be contacting those identified as close contacts. And it started with one officer testing positive for COVID, then two more, and then a few more. Then we saw it slowly spread to two DYA residents, which eventually led to more than half of the residents being infected with the virus. Tyler Matanani has the story.
Although half of the residents have tested positive for COVID-19, Deputy Crescenda again says that operations at the Department of Youth Affairs remain manageable since transferring all COVID-positive residents to their F unit.
Of the 10 confined to the isolation unit, 2, as of today, are experiencing mild symptoms, that of the loss of taste and the loss of smell.
Again says DYA continues to monitor residents that previously tested negative, as well as the implementation of sanitary practices. On Friday, one additional officer tested positive for the virus and is on home isolation.
One has been cleared and has returned to work. One previously receiving care from the Guam Memorial Hospital has been released and is currently on home isolation. One who was housed in the isolation facility has also been released and is at home in home isolation as well. The remaining 5 who have been in home isolation continue to be there since testing positive for COVID.
2 officers still have yet to be tested for COVID and are still reporting to work. Again says she is unsure why that is the case.
So I'm not too sure the specifics of why they are not tested, but I do know that they are not having any symptoms or feeling ill at this point in time.
Today, there have been a total of 9 staff members from DYA that have tested positive for COVID. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tyler Matanani.
Leaders in Guam's FSM community are rallying together once again to combat COVID. Again, here's Tyler Matanani with more details.
Last week, the Department of Public Health, in collaboration with the Mayor's Council of Guam, the FSM Consulate Office, and the FSM Association of Guam, were set to conduct free public testing at a Stubo gym, but their plans were deterred due to inclement weather. The event is now rescheduled for this Saturday. FSM Consulate Foreign Service Officer Sylvia Elias.
We can encourage our community members to please, when they pre-register with us, to actually show up to the testing so we can, maintain the number for 200 this Saturday.
So far, over 100 people have registered for the testing. Elias says that number is steadily increasing.
This morning, I've been answering calls that are registering for this Saturday, and we're glad that the number is moving up real fast.
The FSM consulate previously held a public testing in Jigo, but unfortunately the turnout was less than 200. Sam Alesigam, executive director of Gumamami, said the reason why those in the FSM community are hesitant to get tested is out of fear.
A fear of being sent to the hospital if you're tested positive. I just want to assure our community members that that's not very true. When you're tested positive, you're given the option to either isolate at home, if your living situation allows that, or you're given the opportunity to isolate at the government facilities.
Sam goes on to add that there are rumors within the FSM community that people are testing positive from showing up to the testing sites.
That rumor is not true. People don't get the virus when they come to get tested. The rates, the data for our FSM community in terms of this virus is not very encouraging. We know that we have, so far we have about 25% an infection rate. Given that our community is only 7% of the Guam population, 25% infection rate is a very, very high number.
Again, COVID testing is free and open to the public. It will be conducted this Saturday, November 7th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. You do not have to be displaying symptoms. However, they will only be servicing the first 200 registrants. Those that registered for last week will hold their reservation. You can sign up for COVID testing through the FSM Consulate Office. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tyler Matsinani.
Keep it here. More primetime news when we return.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Mas.
Get going with GTA Prepaid Unlimited. It's easy to load. Simply press *488#, send, select 2 on your screen, and then load. And with fast LTE data, you're able to quickly connect and share to your digital world. Plus, with reliable service, you're able to connect with loved ones whenever, wherever. GTA, we start with you.
Okay, so what are we thinking today?
Oh, I just need a trim.
Okay, well, luckily you are in great hands. Perfect.
The $1 stylist deal.
Is that it?
That's it.
Or you could get a real deal. McDonald's buy one get one for $1 deal is here. Buy one of your faves and choose another for just an extra $1. Choose from the Big Mac, filet of fish, quarter pounder with cheese, and 10-piece chicken McNuggets, but only for a limited time.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Welcome back. Early this morning, Chris and Bree spoke with Gianna Hernandez, who shared her voting experience in LA.
You're on because, there is a presidential election going on in the
there
U.S.
is.
mainland. Yeah.
And she's actually Maria, Mrs. G's granddaughter, and I've actually known Gianna for years since she was a little girl. A very smart, bright, intelligent person, and really involved, I want to say, and well abreast of politics, and particularly the presidential race. So good morning, good evening to you, Gianna. Nice to see you.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're doing fine. Also in the Zoom room, we have Julian Jansen. He's been on our show previously.
Guys, who's watching the Facebook stream? If you could just turn it down.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Julian. I like it loud too, bro. Right on. Julian, of course, of Progressive Democrats. Dr. Bavacqua is also with the Finogi Coalition, and a staffer of Senator Kelly Marsh Titan. We're going to start with you, Gianna. What's the climate like where you're at with this presidential election? We're just hearing a lot of things. Bree was just telling us that they're boarding up the White House.
Yeah, I think I saw that on one of the national media reports.
Right.
Well, I stay in Los Angeles, California. I live near downtown where everything's being boarded up right now. However, I do work in Westwood, which is right outside of UCLA. And so to get there, I passed through Beverly Hills. And yesterday, they boarded up everything from Chase Banks to Soul Cycle to yogurt bars, and not just the windows, but even a couple feet. Like they were starting to put borders even on the sidewalks, just in case things get really bad. Today is election day. I did mail in my ballot a couple weeks ago. And in California, they have this option where you can track once they receive your ballot and that it's completed and your vote was counted. And so thank God mine was already, so I'm not, rushing to the polls today, but there will be long lines everywhere. And we were warned about traffic and just to be careful about everything going on. Mm-hmm. It's going to be really bad today.
Wow. Yeah. Why? I mean, why? What's going on?
Well, on Halloween, Beverly Hills issued a statement saying that you could not be trick-or-treating or gathering in large groups. And if you did, they were to give you a fine. However, in the afternoon on the 31st here in Los Angeles, there was a huge Trump rally and no people were wearing masks, and obviously no one was social distancing. And so I think that kind of gave them a heads up. And they even warned us a couple weeks prior that the election was going to be really bad for both Biden supporters and Trump supporters. And whoever, wins, we just think it's going to get worse. And it's just going to be really scary. And so I'm just trying to go to work and go straight home and not do anything. They told us don't, try to stay away from grocery stores until they know what it's going to look like.
Mm-hmm. Is this your first presidential election?
No, this is actually my second. I turned 18 in 2015, so I was able to vote in 2016 when it was Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump.
Oh, okay.
And so it kind of seems like we're anticipating riots or, civil unrest. And I was telling Bree before the show what we saw with the Black Lives Matter protests. I mean, it's really scary to say that this presidential election and the results from it could create a more violent and more severe backlash. How worried are you about that?
I'm very worried for that. Back in 2016, the day after he was elected, there was already protests and marches in downtown Los Angeles, right outside of City Hall. So now that it's been 4 years and, people are even more angry now, I just don't know what's going to happen from both sides.
Birthday shout-outs next. Don't go away.
MTO Maintenance will now completely sanitize your home, office, or business with state-of-the-art commercial sprayers. For over 30 years, MTO Maintenance has been committed to the health and safety of our customers. And now, more than ever, a clean home, office, carpets, and furniture is a necessity to our island. Give us a call today. Stay healthy and stay safe, Guam.
Call 647-6861 for an appointment.
You could upgrade to the sparkly sprinkle pack on Cupcake Conquest. Or you could upgrade to all this. 2 crunchy tacos and a medium drink. Plus the beefy cheesy layers of the Grande Stacker Box. Only at Taco Bell.
We rely on each other to be there in the good and bad times.
Parents rely on me for making sure that their kids are always in the best of their health.
The community relies on me when emergencies strike.
My students rely on me to move them higher in what they're learning.
Our kids rely on us to provide them with all the support they need.
For keeping us in touch every day.
For every call and schedule I receive, and for every emergency I respond to.
And with my need to respond in the timeliest manner.
To keep my knowledge updated.
For keeping us connected every day, we only rely on Docomo Pacific.
And before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
Happy birthday on this November 4th to Janice Lynn M. Aguero. Your family wishes you a very happy 30th birthday, and please have a blessed, safe, and joyful day. This comes from your loving, caring, and annoying family. They say they love you, and you can tell they truly do. That's awesome. Sophia Underwood, happy birthday and God bless. Love from Mom, Roberto, Rafael from Las Vegas, and Virginia Familia. Sophia, have a great day, they say. Awesome. And Pilar Ortega Pangilinan has a happy birthday on this day after Super Tuesday, election of all elections. Happiest of birthdays to Pilar. We love you, says your family.
And you can be a part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club by registering online on KUAM.com. And before we go tonight, there's going to be, make sure to watch the latest from the presidential election coverage as America picks a new president during our primetime programming. That's our report for tonight. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Happy day, everyone. Nestor Lecanto here. Welcome to another edition of In Full Zoom. And this week, we've got a very special topic. The Chamber of Commerce and local business organizations have been working on an economic recovery diversification plan, which they've presented to the governor. And we've got three people here who helped develop that. And let me just introduce them right now. First of all, Siska Hutapia, who is a member of the GITA board and the Chamber board and all these other things. And she's also the president of Cornerstone Valuation. Joe Cruz is the president of Cabris Marine, and a familiar face, Frank Campillo, who is the plan administrator of Calvo's Select Care. Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Thank you, Nestor.
Thanks for having us, Nestor.
Thanks for having us, Nestor.
Okay. I'm not sure who wants to start, but just to lay the foundation for the discussion, could you explain a little bit about how the Chamber came about putting this plan together, and what are the origins of that? I guess maybe you can start that, Frank.
Well, thank you, Nestor. You know, as you know, Guam is at an economic standstill that we haven't seen since World War II. And this economic pause has shown the weaknesses of a single industry-based economy. And this is exactly what the genesis and the purpose of the Chamber of Commerce think tank committee was, to evaluate and provide ideas on economic diversification and shape the future of our island's post-COVID economy. We recognize that GVB and GHRA and other organizations are working on getting back and reignite our tourism economy. So the focus of the think tank was on industries that were outside of the tourism economy. We had three main objectives. The main objectives were to identify the potential new industry or business idea, identify and address any barriers that that idea may have, provide a suggested action plan for the implementation of each business idea, and demonstrate the economic benefit that the island will get from that. The report reviews several business industries and opportunities, and it is segmented in accordance to short, medium, long, and long-term possibilities. We have presented the report to GITA and the governor, and we now have to work hand in hand with government agencies for the implementation of the ideas. We had put in a structure together that includes GITA and chamber team leaders that work on each one of these ideas. And now I would let Joe Cruz talk about some of the ideas, and we can get into the weeds of it later.
All right, go ahead, Joe.
Okay, so the think tank was composed of several local residents who were experts in their field. Specifically, we had Joe Arnett from Deloitte. We had Jerry Perez. We had Nate Timinglow. We had Christine Balletto. We had Ernie Galito and Frank Campillo as our various task leaders. The think tank identified 10 initiatives, which are basically out-of-the-box concepts addressing our current political as well as our legal structures. We've identified near-term initiatives based on certain laws that allow for it. And these initiatives include the alternative dispute resolution, the captive insurance, and the Guam Trust Law initiatives. And then in addition, we identified, just based on the fact that we're regionally and strategically located to Asia, different opportunities that we can maximize in the near term. And these include initiatives related to the construction and labor situation in Guam, ship repair, as well as safe haven port initiatives. And then our last 4 initiatives, which essentially are long-term initiatives, which again is to capitalize on our regional location in essentially America and Asia, which is a theme that we kind of developed for some of our ideas, is the relocation of high wealth individuals and businesses from Asia, specifically Hong Kong. And that's an initiative to have pharmaceutical manufacturing and relocation to Guam. Then we had our another initiative, which is the Silicon Village initiative. Then our last initiative, which is the satellite launching initiative. And again, these initiatives are creative ideas. We've had some of these initiatives that are already in the books, but just haven't been followed through on. And based on the current state of affairs here in Guam, we felt that it was necessary to identify some goals that we could chase in order to improve our current economic situation.
Okay, before we get into the weeds on some of these, I was going to go to you, Siska, and maybe get your reaction as a member of the GITA board, because the government, of course, will be heavily involved in this, as it always is. What's your reaction to the plan as presented by the Chamber and business groups?
Yes, so yeah, exactly. When of course, Frank and Joe are the co-chairs of this think tank committee for the Guam Chambers of Commerce. And I'm on the board of the Guam Chambers of Commerce too, and was involved as part of the member of the committee. And when I talked to David John, who is the chairman of the GITA, and also Chairman Christine Balletto from the Guam Chambers of Commerce, we were thinking, okay, we have this great white paper that Frank and Joe has worked really hard, and all the team leaders has worked really hard on. How can we make this plan go into action? And so we kind of wanted to have one integrated approach from the private sector and from the government agency, and have the buy-in from the legislature too. As a matter of fact, when we wanted to introduce this plan, we strategically have the meeting first with GITA, have their buy-in, and then we brought it to the governor with GITA, approval, and then Governor Carl Gutierrez also kind of like empower us by saying, hey, we need to bring the legislature here. So we really want this white paper to become action plan and not just a white paper. And so we really wanted to have one integrated approach where the government, the public sector, and the private sectors work together and make it happen for the future of Guam. And like Frank said, the tourism industry, which is our main industry, early this year, when we come to January to February, we were on to the most stellar year of tourism industry in Guam. Our collection on the tourist attraction fund was up by 5% in January and up by 10% in February. But come March with the lockdown and all the way to August, in August we were down by 90%. We really do need to have this diversification, and we really do need to have vision on where our Guam economy can go. And Frank and Joe again have already compiled this awesome plan. And because I wear two hats, Chamber of Board Director and also the GIDA Board of Director, we kind of think how really can we make it happen? So we're really excited that we're gonna have, even on the team leader level, that we're gonna have government agency that will be the co-team leaders of each of the initiatives. So yeah, we're very excited about this.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's, offers fully covered loading and unloading area with individual pin-coded gate and door access. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
All right, so Frank, let's start talking about more specifics. We've all understood that Guam has needed to diversify for so many years. We've had this basically two-legged economy, tourism and federal spending. So which of these initiatives that Joe laid out do you think would be the most immediate and the thing that we can act on right away?
So actually, if I can, Nestor, Joe alluded to the immediate term initiatives and the medium term initiatives, and he's more familiar for those and work on those. So I'm going to let Joe address the immediate and medium term, and then I'll go to the long term initiatives, which are those that I work on. So Joe, if you could help us with that.
Sure. On the short term, Nestor, we essentially took existing laws that are in place that would enhance our economic situation here. And these laws allow for alternative dispute resolution. And in this initiative, essentially, it enables Guam to be a location where companies who are having legal issues, instead of going through a court process, would have an arbitration process. And there are laws currently established in Guam which enables this dispute resolution to occur here in Guam. And what this would entice essentially is more corporate executive presence on Guam, in that when the disputes happen on Guam, of course, you have lawyers and other folks that will come to Guam to have these discussions. And also integrate what they do with our local court systems, et cetera. So the laws currently enable this here on Guam. So we want to, while the laws are in place, is to take advantage of the fact that this is something that we can do and just work on follow through and executing the intent of the law. The second one is the captive insurance. As we all know, and we've heard, Guam has in the past made efforts to become a captive insurance location. We know for a fact there are a couple of companies locally in Guam right now that are looking at options, and Guam is one of them. So being that this captive insurance law is in place, we want to work with GIDA to market this opportunity for Guam. Again, the laws are in place and it's just a matter of execution. The third law that's in place, which and also enables Guam to become a location for corporate business, is the Guam Trust Law. And this would enable companies from all over the world, mainly in Asia, to establish local trusts. And the advantage they would have, of course, is they can move some of their assets under the trust on Guam and manage that out of here. So that's in the short term, because of laws that are in place that enable this, would allow Guam to diversify their economy. On the midterm, we looked at the construction and labor situation in Guam. So on the construction side, of course, between GovGuam and the private sector, there's at least $700 million worth of projects that are basically on hold, mainly because of lack of labor and other issues like bonding capacity being a constraint. So the initiative here took a look at what are some of the solutions that we can offer to support some of these shortfalls. And that which brought us to the labor initiative, right? So the labor initiative essentially identifies that we have 40,000 workers on Guam that are currently displaced because of our tourism, the impact on our tourism industry from the pandemic. The labor initiative addresses a retraining or repurposing of this workforce into construction skilled labor. That would be one of the immediate goals to address our labor shortage. And we'll work, of course, with Guam Community College, the Trades Academy, Department of Labor to execute the retraining and repurposing of this workforce. On the construction side, of course, Public Works has contracting challenges as well with procurement, et cetera. So the thought we had was to outsource some of that contracting process so that we can enable this process to get executed. And to address some of the labor shortages, one of the other options that we looked at was importing U.S. labor to Guam, mainly because, in the States currently, there's about 300,000 unemployed construction workers. The cost of doing that, of course, would be high. So, the concept we looked at was probably reverse sourcing. Instead of the government outsourcing workers, maybe they can source workers and then reverse source those workers back to contractors to use them to execute construction projects in Guam. On the next initiative, which is another midterm, is ship repair. Due to the pandemic, whereas U.S. government ships were being serviced in Asia, as a result of challenges of getting certain skilled personnel and certain qualified manufacturer personnel into Asia to do repairs, Guam, because of our current U.S. position and our U.S. status, we can bring these technical workers to Guam to support ship repair here. And the fact that ships can't enter into Asia enables Guam to have that attraction. So now we can bring these ships to Guam for more repair. Of course, we got to have a workforce for that, which we currently have 3 companies in Guam that can provide the service. And then the last midterm initiative which is to create Guam as a safe haven port. Currently, the military ships come to Guam. However, the personnel stay on base. So the initiative here identifies an opportunity where the Guam hotels currently, while they're being challenged due to the pandemic, can be used as bubbles and have the crews who arrive on ships essentially move from bubble to bubble on the ship, bubble on a transportation process into a hotel environment where they can partake in hotel services and, of course, occupy the hotels so the hotels can regenerate some of their jobs. So essentially, those are the near-term and the midterm initiatives that we looked at. Of course, there's a lot of detail that was specified in the white paper, but in a nutshell, that's a brief description of those near-term and midterm goals.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Are you looking to save? Here at Cars Plus, it's Black Friday every day. You'll love our entire Hyundai SUV lineup, like the 2020 Hyundai Tucson, ranked Best Compact SUV by J.D. Power in 2020. Drive home in your new Tucson starting as low as $158 per paycheck, equipped with Guam's only lifetime powertrain warranty. That's right, there's only one place to shop for your SUV this November. It's here at Cars Plus. Call us at 477-7807 to schedule your appointment today. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Get going with GTA Prepaid Unlimited. It's easy to load. Simply press star 488#, send, select 2 on your screen, and then load. And with fast LTE data, you're able to quickly connect and share to your digital world. Plus, with reliable service, you're able to connect with loved ones whenever, wherever. GTA, we start with you.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
All right, Frank, can you discuss some of your long-term initiatives?
So the long-term initiatives that we identify, and if I may, before we identify those, Nestor, is the white paper actually not only identifies the industry, but remember that we also identify the barriers. We identify how we can remove those barriers so we can make it a workable idea, and also what is the economic benefit to the island. So the 7th idea, which is a long-term idea, is the relocation of high-wealth individuals and businesses from Asia. And when we said from Asia, is because the genesis of this was Hong Kong initially. But as China continued to ingress into the different countries, that includes Taiwan, for instance, which they're a little bit concerned about how China is ingressing into their territory, or in areas like even Tibet, for instance, where China is reclaiming some of their territory. So we're looking at companies that can relocate and possibly put a secondary office here in Guam as a protection for future intervention of China. And it is based on the fact that Guam is a U.S. economy, has a judicial system that works, has a banking system that is global, and also the proximity to these economies around the area of China. The other initiative that we work on was the pharmaceutical manufacturing and relocation to U.S. territories. And the pharmaceutical industry prior to COVID was $1.3 trillion globally. After COVID, and there are not certain numbers, but it is my estimate that those numbers are closer or probably higher to $2 trillion globally, because the world is spending a lot of money on vaccines, medications to treat COVID, and so forth. So we are not going to get companies from developed countries like Germany or continental US, those are or Switzerland, that are very developed economies in regards to pharmaceutical. But around us, Japan, Taiwan, even the Philippines are producing pharmaceuticals that they would like to sell to the greatest and largest market, which is the United States. So companies, in fact, there was a company from the Philippines about a year and a half ago that was Unilab, that was looking at Guam to be the bridge between the Philippines and the United States for the sale of pharmaceuticals, and in this case, basically generic drugs. So that's an idea that GITA has taken to heart, and it's something that we're going to be working very hard to develop in the long term. Then the next one was the Silicon Village, which is an idea of not only doing improving the way how technology is done around the island, but actually trying to get Guam as a territory to host higher technology, to be a data warehousing and so forth for companies around us, around Asia. And the last one, which is actually, we look as a long term, but it's already in place, is launching satellites from Guam and using Guam as a space travel location. As you know, Virgin is already has already done studies on Guam and is locating some of their assets to Guam. But I think not only Virgin, but other companies like the companies that Blue Origin and others that are working into the future space exploration can relocate to Guam. And that's, in a nutshell, the 10 initiatives that we're looking at from the Chamber point of view in the white paper.
All right, thank you. And so, Cisco, what is GITA's role going to be in this? And in addition to, help moving this along, I imagine that some of this will have to do with relations with the federal government to overcome some of those barriers?
I lost you there a little bit on my internet connection here. Nestor, you mind repeating it? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just asking if you could explain GITA's role in moving these initiatives along, particularly with respect to federal regulations that may have to be, tweaked to be able to accomplish what you guys want to do here in Guam.
Yes. So the first part of your question is GITA's role. It is not a secret that permitting, trying to get licensed, trying to get business starting in Guam is a really, really difficult feat for most investors from an island. And so, we want to be able to be the concierge. If there's a potential investor on all of these 10 identified industry that want to come to Guam, we want to be able to make it smooth and easy for them to invest their money here on Guam. And so that's why the way we structure this whole ad hoc committee, we wanted to bring all the government agencies to each of these 10 industry that we've identified to be the co-team leaders so that we can make it happen. And we also want to invite all the legislature, for example, Ernie just sent his team leader report regarding the high net worth individual. He wanted GBB, JHRA to be helping in this industry, and then also have Teresa Lahi and Jim Moylan to help on the legislature side to enable people really, if they really want to come to Guam and want to invest. We don't want them to go through the red tapes. That is sometimes very, very frustrating. I mean, I live here on Guam for 20 years. When I try to open my office here, it takes me 20 months to just get my occupancy permit for a tiny, small office. So we don't want the investor to have that kind of barrier. Gita has been doing road trip, touting Guam is a good place, American soil in Asian water.
Okay, I think we might have lost Siska for a moment there.
All right. Where
Okay,
did
then
you
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, you know, we don't want a violent investor who's ready to invest millions of dollars on Guam have the frustration of going through the red tapes. I was mentioning, you know, when I want to open my office building here, it took me 20 months to just get a occupancy permit for a 1,400 square feet building. That should not happen. And I know everyone on Guam, you know, let alone people who doesn't know anybody. We can't expose them to that. So that's kind of, you know, this one Guam integrated approach is kind of the thread, the DNA of this ad hoc committee. And that's kind of what we wanted to achieve. And regarding the federal regulation, again, by, you know, working closely with our lawmaker, with the governor, we got full support from the governor. She's so excited about this effort. You know, I think we can work things out. I don't know if Frank and Joe has more to add to this.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Grab Taco Bell's Nachos Party Pack whenever you're dressing up to stay in, getting some brownie points, or witnessing a miracle. Sorry, Jess. Go big with delicious nachos topped with all your favorites. Nachos Party Pack, only at Taco Bell.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Well, we've only got a few minutes left, and I wanted to just kind of close it all out by giving you each a little bit of time to. I think, as you all know, you know, the devil is going to be in the details, and so I wanted to each of you to kind of speak real briefly on expectations and how we need to manage those. Because, as I said earlier, I mean, we've been talking about the diversification of Guam's economy for many years, and but at this particular point in time, because of the pandemic, because of the collapse of our tourism industry, we really need to do this now. So let me start with you, Frank, and to just give us some more, a real brief thoughts on how you think we can manage this and proceed and get this done.
Well, Nestor, and thank you for preempting by saying we have tried this before. And yes, you're right. But right now we are in the middle of a crisis that we have not felt before. And the economy of the island is at a standstill. And crises create opportunities. In fact, some of the best developments and the best industries that have occurred in the world have come out of crises. So we believe that this is the time where we're together, the government of Guam and private sector need to come to with ideas that is going to help us diversify this economy. Tourism will come back. When will it come back? That's the great question. How quickly will it be recovered to the pre-COVID levels? That's a question that we don't have an answer for. We were targeting 400,000 tourists for next year, and apparently, according to Jerry Perez, Jerry says that it will not happen next year to get 400. So if it takes us 5 or 10 years to get to pre-COVID levels, that's going to be devastating to the economy. And this is the time to address this crisis and start looking at other industries that can help the economy recovery of the island.
All right, Joe, a lot riding on the short-term initiatives. Talk a little bit about that and what your expectations are.
Sure. I mean, by no means, are these initiatives the answer to the maiden's prayer. It's going to take a lot of action, and it's going to take a lot of creativity. So in the near term, I think the fact that these laws are in place, it just takes action. We need to promote Guam as a destination for these initiatives. It's been in the books, and I know there's been effort to push it forward, but it stopped. So while we're in this condition that we're in, I think it's important that we don't have a paralysis of analysis. We act and we execute. And of course, we do it within the context of the law. And it's just all about action and just making things happen.
All right, and Siska, you're going to get the final word. You will be, as Gita, the bridge between the private sector and the public sector. So tell us what we can expect.
Yes, so like Frank said, situations, this crisis are temporary, but it's very important as a community, private sector and government, we all have vision. And what this white paper lay out for us is the vision to have like successful Guam for the future. Singapore in 1960s are a third world country. They're now the most competitive country in the world. Why? Because they have vision. And I think, working together from the private sector and the government to make this white paper happen, I would really love to see Guam to be a competitor to Singapore, not to the same extent, but, at least be competitive as Singapore is. And we have all the, we have University of Guam, Guam Community College that can provide all the, workforce, high quality workforce for all of this industry. And it will be great to have all of this industry, to have all of those students at UOG and GCC to work at home, to provide high paying jobs at home. So yes, so I'm very excited with this actions and plan that we're having.
Sounds like some really great ideas, and so best of luck to you guys. I hope you can push this all through. Siska Hutapia, Joe Cruz, Frank Campillo, thank you for joining us. I'm Nestor Lecanto. We'll see you again next week on In Full Zoom.
Thank you, Nestor, for having us.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. This program lineup is brought to you by Vision Express.